Hi, and welcome to Cooking the Books with Heather. Today we're doing something we haven't done before for this channel. We are making a weeknight meal for the family. Been at work all day, came home, and we're gonna try to get this done for dinner. We are making grape roasted Brussels sprouts and sausage from Deep Run Roots, Vivian Howard's cookbook. You can see it's all roasted on the pan. And how we got this done is last night, how we planned to get this done is last night I cut up my Brussels sprouts. Now this is a little bit more than the recipe calls for, and I cut them in quarters even though it suggests halves, but they were huge. It's kind of a running thing on my channel. I seem to get huge vegetables. So I've got my Brussels sprouts quartered here, and my grapes are all halved and de-seeded. This took a while, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you how I did that. I just used a little paring knife, cut them in half that way, and used the tip of the paring knife to dig out the seeds. There are 3 to 4 seeds usually in each grape. And you can see this took a while. Took me at least, say, 20 minutes to get all of these grapes done, but it's done now. All I have to do now is to cut up my sausage. Now, she calls for your favorite link sausage. We haven't actually tried this one, but I was asking my husband, what he would say is a link sausage, and so this is actually, it says semi-air dried link sausage. It's not cooked, but it is semi-dried. Often they are dried or a little bit more dried, or maybe even smoked. I think you could probably use kielbasa or something like that, a smoked sausage too in this case. I am going to, let's see, this was almost a pound. She calls for 8 ounces because both of these things were a little bit more than the recipe. I'm gonna go a little bit more than the recipe. This would be like 2/3 of a pound more instead of half of a pound. But I'm gonna go ahead and cut these into 1/2-inch slices as per the recipe. Probably should use a larger knife, but this is what I had out to slice a lemon. So, all right. So we just toss, try not to get my seeds in here. Toss all of this in the bowl. Let me wash my hands. So we've got all of our ingredients in here except for we need to add some salt, and some pepper, and some olive oil. Now this stuff I'm just doing the amounts that she calls for, even though I've got a little bit more of everything else. I think we'll be fine with that. If it ends up needing a little more salt, we can always add more. Can't take it away. All right. And then just toss this up together. And we're gonna spread this on a baking sheet and try to get it spread out as much as possible. And just put it in the oven. I've got the oven preheated to 425 degrees, and it cooks for only 25 minutes. So that's why we thought maybe this would work as a weeknight meal. Okay, spread it on the baking sheet. And if this turns out to be too much and it doesn't have enough room, I might have to get another baking sheet, because you don't want this all on top of each other. You kind of want it spread out. But I think will be okay. We are mostly a single layer. All right. Into the oven it goes, and I'll set a timer for 25 minutes. So while my Brussels sprouts and grapes and sausage are baking, all I have to do is make a little vinaigrette type thing. It's really super simple. It is three ingredients. So we have some Dijon mustard. I've got this little baby whisk that I really like for when a big whisk just seems like too much. We have some lemon juice. Now I am actually going to measure this lemon juice because I haven't in the past, and I think I've ended up with too much or too little. And anyway, it ended up being a couple of lemons. One was not quite enough, and it looks like 2 was almost exactly right. And some salt. And that is it for this. And you serve it. You scrape up all of the good bits and you serve it with this on top. And that is it. So now I have like 20 minutes to get everything else ready, and we'll have dinner. Okay, this is my pan after 25 minutes. It is not done. It may be because I maybe overcrowded the pan, or my oven's not quite as hot as hers, but it certainly doesn't look like the picture. And so I'm going to leave it in for maybe another 10 minutes or so. I'll let you know how long it took when it's done. This is what it looks like after probably another 20 minutes. I didn't keep track very well, but this is finally more like what I see in the book, and I'm gonna call it done. On this episode of Cooking the Books with Heather, we made grape roasted Brussels sprouts and sausage from Vivian Howard's Deep Run Roots cookbook. We made it on a weeknight, and it did take a little extra long to cook. I probably crowded the pan a little bit too much. Plus, my Brussels sprouts were huge and took a little extra long to cook. But I think in the end, we pretty much got there. I think our grapes were a little extra roasted. Let's say that. But I enjoyed it. My husband enjoyed it. Oh yeah. Speaking of the grapes, I think I neglected to mention that these were Muscadine grapes, and that's what the recipe calls for. They are prevalent around this area. I don't know how easy they are to get outside of the North Carolina coastal region. They are native to this area. They've grown here for a long time. So I don't know how easy these are to find outside of this area, but they have a very tough skin. So generally when they are fresh, you don't eat the skin because it's kind of gross and just extra tough. They pop out of the skin and you eat the grape like that. When they're roasted, those skins are very tender and super easy to eat. So that's not a problem. But my husband and I both enjoyed it. It was great. But my kids, shockingly, did not like roasted grapes. My son asked me why I couldn't just keep the grapes cold. So I liked them. I thought they were really good. A little bit raisiny, like dried grapes. That makes sense. But sweet and good, and with the acid from the lemon juice, that was a nice complement to it. So they liked the sausage. They even liked the Brussels sprouts. Not so much a fan of the grapes. But all in all, it was a good, easy weeknight recipe from a book like this that's hard to come by sometimes. So if you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed watching me cook, please hit the thumbs up button and subscribe. Come back next week and watch me cook something else.